Welcome to Engine Adventures. This is the 2021 Chevy TrailBlazer. This one has the 1.3 liter 4-cylinder turbo along with a 9-speed automatic transmission, which is great in a vehicle like this. There are a lot of CVTs, but having an actual transmission helps, especially in off-road. And well, I shouldn't say an actual transmission, a transmission with the planetary gear system. Helps it a lot when it's off-roading to keep the transmission from overheating. It does have these Hankook, kind of an all-terrain AT2s, Dynapro AT2. Not super aggressive, but they do add a little bit of traction. It's not just an economy tire. It allows you to get out a little bit more. Anyway, let's take a look around it and jump inside. For off-road driving at speed, obviously that's not going to be happening at very high speeds. So it does have independent suspension all around, so the ride's actually fairly okay, but the amount of wheel travel is limited, so you're not going to be able to hit these bumps like you can in some other vehicles. I would put it about on par with the RAV4 TRD off-road, and the RAV4 would do a little bit better, but where it would really shine is it can do long distances of this. The shocks can handle it a lot better than the shocks on this one, but I mean it does fine over this stuff. You just can't go super fast, and it doesn't have a ton of articulation, as we'll find out here in just a minute when we get to our little articulation hill. But overall, not bad for forest and fire roads that are fairly well maintained.
Here for the articulation test in two-wheel drive. I'm slightly further down the hill in a little bit easier spot, but it does climb up this really quite easily in two-wheel drive. It was much better than I expected. Moving on to sport mode, but still in two-wheel drive, it does just as well. There's a little bit more wheel spin and a little bit better throttle response, or more aggressive throttle response, I should say. And again, just climbs right up this fairly easily. Next up is all-wheel drive in normal mode, and we see some really interesting results here. I really didn't expect this at all, but as you can tell, it struggles quite a bit more. There's a lot more wheel spin here than there was in two-wheel drive, and my only thought is there's not enough torque in this vehicle for there to be a lot of braking to transfer the power to the tires with traction. When it's on front-wheel drive mode only, it does better because it can brake the spinning wheel easier than braking one front wheel and one rear wheel while still having the torque to make the climb. In the final test here, we go ahead and turn off traction control and electronic stability control, and oddly enough, it still leaves what Chevy calls pinion control, and that's just braking the spinning wheels. It leaves that system on, so even with traction control off, there is some braking force being applied to the spinning wheels. For the real test, which is the steep hill climb, we see, just like all other vehicles in two-wheel drive, that it's not able to make it past the first little hole. And it does climb okay a little bit at first, but as soon as it hits the hole, it stops it. And we see those same results in sport mode in two-wheel drive. Initially in all-wheel drive, we see a little bit better results. It makes it up the hill a little further, but now instead of having one wheel in the hole, there are two wheels crossed up in the hole, and it's just not able to make it on this moderate line. So we'll move over to the easier line and see if it can make that. Here on the easy line, we carry momentum through and still struggle. There are a few spots where I'm not sure if it's going to make it or not, right here and then right here, but it does make it. It's able to power through and make it all the way up the hill. I'm leaving this clip in here largely just to show what happens when you slide off the easy line into the hard line a little bit. Luckily, I didn't get too far off, but you can see right there as it slides over that the panel right underneath the driver gets really close to bottoming out and hitting the ground. The hardline is just too deep, has too many deep holes for a lot of vehicles with lower clearance, and I don't want to risk damaging these as they're not my vehicle. But you can see there with this vehicle, there is not a very high likelihood of it making up the hardline. Here in sport mode now, I'm trying to take a harder line at first. This is the moderate line, and then I'll move over to the easy line. But even there in the moderate line, just like in normal mode, not able to make it in sport mode. Since it's not able to make the moderate line, we switch over to the easy line and give it a bit of momentum just like we did in normal mode. The throttle response is a little better. It was a little bit easier to climb until right here, where sport mode isn't as aggressive on the traction control and braking as normal mode is. Finishing up the steep hill climb, we have the crest where we have the breakover angle, and again we see some of the struggles with this vehicle. It just doesn't transfer power super well side to side, and when it does, it's a little bit more aggressive at doing it as far as not easing into the other wheel. It causes both wheels to spin rather than slowly accelerating up the hill. So I have to readjust and take a better line here. Surprisingly, it's able to make it over without scraping in the center at all, so the breakover angle is actually pretty good on this vehicle. The all-wheel drive system on the TrailBlazer is the same design as the one on the regular Blazer that is the single clutch. So there is no dual clutch option here, but as you can see, there's a coupling at the rear differential that is a clutch, and then at the front there's a disconnect unit. So the drive shaft is not spinning at all when it's in two-wheel drive. Then when you engage the all-wheel drive, it will engage that disconnect unit from the front and then also apply the clutch pack on the rear to transfer power to the rear axle. Underneath, we see that there are some pieces to help protect, especially under the engine and transmission. And then beyond that, there are a few components that hang down low that are likely to get caught when you're off-roading, maybe hit a boulder or whatever. But overall, it's not terrible. Thank you for watching Engine Adventures review of the 2021 Chevy TrailBlazer Active. This is a decently capable all-wheel drive vehicle. It definitely will do just fine in bad weather conditions, but as you get into rougher stuff, steep hill climbs where you're losing traction, it will definitely struggle a little bit. It will take care of you if you're running down well-maintained forest, fire, whatever types of roads that are gravel and dirt. But as you get into tougher stuff with large articulation spots and climbing hills at the same time, it will definitely struggle there. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications, and give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it and give me a thumbs down, be sure to comment down below and let me know why. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.